LPG means liquefied petroleum gas. We all know it's a mixture of propane and butane. So either it can be pure propane, pure butane, or it can LPG. When we say it generally in India considered as a mixture of propane and butane, and roughly a percentage 50-50. That means half. But this is not a fixed percentage. Propane can be 60% and butane is 40%, or it can be other way also. Okay. So all we are considering as LPG. Now its chemical formula for propane is C3H8. This is the symbol for that or representation in organic chemistry. Then butane is C4H10. Normally it is known as C4. So they don't say anything like propane or butane. They say C4, C3, like that. It's a physical mixture of the two. There is no chemical reaction between the two. There is no chemical reaction, and they are not miscible also. Miscible means they are liquids which get mixed completely with each other, like milk and water. Once you pour water in the milk, you cannot separate them unless you boil them and vaporize the air, water completely. But those two liquids are like that. Here we have two liquids, okay, propane and butane, which are mixed, and they really get mixed perfectly, but they can still separate out. They can still separate out. One is by heating, or other is by just settling down. You all know butane is heavier than propane liquid, so butane settles down in the tank. As soon as you start removing something from the tank, they start churning and mix again. But you cannot take out, of course, only pure propane from the tank. It will always be mixed with butane. So both are gaseous condition at atmospheric pressure and above 0 degrees centigrade. If you them below 0 degrees centigrade, the gas will convert to liquid. But there again, butane will convert to liquid first and then propane. Because boiling point of propane or liquefaction point in this case is minus 42 degrees for propane and 0 degrees, or to be more precise, minus 1 degree for butane. Under pressure they get liquefied, so we give the name liquefied gases. So in fact, when you say LPG, you should always say liquefied petroleum gas. You don't say liquid petroleum gas. Though they are in liquid condition, you don't call it liquid, and it is not correct technically to call it liquid. You must call liquefied. Both are highly inflammable. We know that. Calorific value are almost same, and both are colorless, odorless. To detect their presence in atmosphere, you need to add ethyl mercaptan, what is known as odorizer. It gives a odor. It proportion of 20 ppm, 20 part per million. Okay, it's very small percentage, but that makes the thing smellable. You are able to detect its presence around you. Otherwise, you can't see it. You can't have any smell. Quality standard IS 4576 is for LPG, which is used in domestic and industry application. What LPG we get in our house or we supply to industry for their furnaces and any other similar fuel application, it is IS 4576. So all properties of that LPG are given in this. What should be its vapor pressure, what should it contain, what it should not contain, in what proportion. If it is to be tested, if LPG is to be tested for its different parameters, what is the testing method and what is the permissible parameters. Okay, everything is given in 4576. Similarly, when you are using the LPG for automobile application, there is slight difference in the properties, and that is all given in 14861. So you have to ensure which LPG you are supplying. Suppose you are LPG transporter, then you must know where you are going to supply, whether it is industry or a ALDS. It is heavier than air, so settles when proper ventilation is not there, thereby increasing concentration. If air leaks, if LPG leaks into atmosphere, then it immediately expands, comes to atmospheric pressure, and then normally because of the wind or breeze, it tries to move away from that place and goes anywhere. Okay, but it is heavier than air, so it does not rise up in the atmosphere unless it is pushed by the wind pressure. So if it is not pushed like that and allowed to settle, then it will go to the ground level and accumulate there. So that is the reason all LPG equipment are generally kept in open shed, not closed building. Even if you see LPG cylinder storage yard or godowns, they are always open to atmosphere, though there is a chopper, ceiling is there, roof is there, but you'll find there are openings at the lower level like ground level, so any leakage of gas should not accumulate inside the room, it must go out, otherwise the concentration increases. Where is the question of concentration coming? The concentration comes because of its flammability range. These are some values. 1.5 specific gravity for C3 and 2 for liquid. These are the C2 for C4. This is for vapor condition. If it is liquid, density is 0.48 and 0.57. That means 570 kg per cubic meter. Okay. So now there are so many things in the storage, of which one we are going to focus or we should focus upon from safety point of view. So to ensure safety, what should be our focus? So our focus should be to avoid mishap or any accident which can cause injury to anybody, which can cause fire in a small area or a big area. So our efforts must be focused on certain things which are like, we all know, avoid leakage to the extent possible. To the extent possible. We know that leakage cannot be totally avoided. Sometime or other is going to take place. But don't allow it to continue. Otherwise, LPG concentration will increase. When I say LPG concentration, it means the amount of LPG or volume of LPG in the surrounding air. When that increases, the chances of catching fire increase. So second most important safety requirement or precaution that we can take is there should be no open flame or spark anywhere near the leakage area under any circumstances. See, leakage you can tolerate to some extent, but ensure that there is no open flame there of any kind or any sparking there. So this becomes very, very critical, and under no circumstances there should be a spark or flame near the area which is likely to possess LPG, and that too above concentration of what we call as flammability range. Okay, I will explain maybe a little later. Okay, So these two things become the main focus, and all our efforts are going into it. How we do it, we are going to see it. What is LPG yard? Let's understand what is LPG yard. It is the area where LPG storage tanks are installed and all other equipment required for handling it safely. That means pumps, compressors, hoses, valves, unloading gantry. So many things are coming inside. So we are talking about that which is required in industries. Okay, that way in our house also we have LPG cylinder, but we don't call it LPG yard. It's a small thing, but of course we take care of it. There are certain precautions taken around the LPG cylinder. But here the storage can be large. The smallest storage normally is about 10 ton, and much bigger storages like 300 ton, 400, 500 ton can be there in certain industries. I have seen places or industries like rolling mills where the consumption is about 6 to 7 tons of LPG per hour. Very large consumption. So they have 100 ton, 3 tanks, 4 tanks. Otherwise, the tank will be empty. 7 ton per hour means in 1 hour you calculate how much it will be. Almost 3 tons per 300 tons per day. So within 3 days the tank will be empty. So they need more storage capacity. And there are certain problems associated when the consumption is high, like pressure drop, then getting liquid in the vapor lines. All these things are associated with high consumption. How we take care of that is a part of LPG plant design. So there are some locations in refineries, gas terminals, processing plants, bottling plants. There also you will find LPG storage, and still larger. A single Horton sphere can be 1800 ton. Okay, you never find 1800 ton storage in any industry which is using it as fuel. So these are the places where LPG is not used as fuel, but it is, they call it as repacking. And from the Horton sphere or from the tank, it will be put into road tankers. Those road tankers are going to travel to the industrial customer for transporting LPG liquid to their consumption points. Okay, so those areas are not called LPG yard. So they are not covered under SMPV. In fact, SMPV covers them, but in a slightly different manner. We are not going to cover those things where their requirements are totally different. So we are going to talk about LPG yard, which I explained just now. The idea of explaining this is anything which is storing LPG does not mean a yard. Okay, so